Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Last Straw, by Jeff Kinney, narrated by Trumer Purdue. January, New Year's Day. You know how you're supposed to come up with a list of resolutions at the beginning of the year to try to make yourself a better person? Well, the problem is, it's not easy for me to think of ways to improve myself, because I'm already pretty much one of the best people I know. So this year, my resolution is to try and help other people improve. But the thing I'm finding out is that some people don't really appreciate it when you're trying to be helpful. Like when I tried to get Mom to stop chewing her potato chips too loudly. I said, I think you should work on chewing your potato chips more quietly. One thing I noticed right off the bat is that people in my family are doing a lousy job sticking to their New Year's resolutions. Mom said she was going to start going to the gym today, but she spent the whole afternoon watching TV. And Dad said he was going to go on a strict diet. But after dinner, I caught him out in the garage stuffing his face with brownies. Even my brother, Manny, couldn't stick to his resolution. This morning he told everyone he's a big boy and he's giving up his pacifier for good. Then he threw his favorite binky in the trash. Mom and Dad were clapping. Well, that New Year's resolution didn't even last a full minute. He dumped out the trash can and started to suck on his binky again. The only person in my family who didn't come up with a resolution is my older brother, Roderick. And that's a pity, because his list should be about 1.5 miles long. So I decided to come up with a program to help Roderick be a better person. I called my plan 3 Strikes and You're Out. The basic idea is that every time I saw Roderick messing up, I'd mark a little X on his chart. Well, Roderick got all 3 strikes before I could even have a chance to decide what "you're out" meant. He punched me 3 times. Anyway, I'm starting to wonder if I should just bag my resolution too. It's a lot of work, and so far I haven't really made any progress. Besides, after I reminded Mom for like the billionth time to stop chewing her potato chips so loud, she made a really good point. She said, "Everyone can't be as perfect as you, Gregory." And from what I've seen so far, I think she's right. Thursday. Dad is giving this diet thing another try, and that's bad news for me. He's gone about 3 days without eating any chocolate, and he's been super cranky. The other day, Dad woke me up and told me to get ready for school, and I accidentally fell back asleep. Believe me, that's the last time I'll make that mistake. He yanked the blanket off my bed and shouted, "Wake up!" Part of the problem is that Dad always wakes me up before Mom's out of the shower, so I know that I still have like 10 more minutes before I need to get out of bed for real. Yesterday, I came up with a pretty good way to get some extra sleep time without making Dad mad. After he woke me up, I took all of my blankets down the hall with me and waited outside the bathroom for my turn in the shower. Then I lay down right on top of the heater vent. And when the furnace was blowing, the experience was even better than being in bed. The problem was, the heat only stayed on for about like 5 minutes at a time. So when the furnace wasn't running, I was just laying there on this cold piece of metal. Chatter, chatter, it's so cold. This morning, while I was waiting for Mom to be done with her shower, I remembered someone gave her a bathrobe for Christmas. So I went into her closet and got it. Let me just say that was one of the smartest moves I've ever made. Wearing that thing was like being wrapped in a big, fluffy towel that just came out of the dryer. In fact, I liked it so much, I even wore it after my shower. I think Dad might have been jealous he didn't come up with the robe idea first, because when I came into the kitchen table, he seemed extra grumpy. I said, "Morning." I tell you, women have the right idea with this bathrobe thing. Now I'm wondering what else I'm missing on. I just wish I had asked for my own bathrobe for Christmas, because I'm sure Mama's going to make me give hers back. I struck out on gifts again this year. I knew I was in for a rough day when I came downstairs on Christmas morning, and the only presents in my stocking were a stick of deodorant and a travel dictionary. I guess once you're in middle school, grown-ups decide you're too old for toys or anything. That's actually fun. But then they still expect you to be all excited when you open the lame gifts they gave you. Like when somebody gave me a book that said, "Math is red." They said, "It'll help you get a jump start on algebra." Most of my gifts this year were books or clothes. The closest thing I got to a toy was a present from Uncle Charlie. When I unwrapped Uncle Charlie's gift, I didn't even know what it was supposed to be. It was this big plastic ring with a net attached to it. Uncle Charlie explained that it was a laundry hoop for my bedroom. He said I was supposed to hang the laundry hoop on the back of my door, and it would make putting away my dirty clothes fun. At first I thought it was a joke, but then I realized Uncle Charlie was serious, so I had to explain to him that I don't actually do my laundry. I told him to just throw my dirty clothes on the floor, and Mom picks them up and takes them downstairs to the laundry room. Then a few days later, everything comes back to me in nice folded piles. I told Uncle Charlie he should just return the laundry hoop he gave me and give me cash so I can buy something I'll actually use. That's when Mom spoke up. She told Uncle Charlie that she thought the laundry hoop was a great idea. Then she said that from now on, I'll be doing my own laundry. So basically, it ends up that Uncle Charlie got me a chore for Christmas. It really stinks that I got such crummy gifts this year. I put in a lot of effort buttering people up the past few months, and I thought it would pay off on Christmas. Like when I tried to shovel this old lady's lawn when it was all snowy. Nah, she just gave me pants. Now that I'm responsible for my own laundry, I guess I'm kind of glad I got a bunch of clothes. I might actually make it through the whole school year before I run out of clean stuff to wear. Monday. When me and Rowley got to our bus stop today, we found a nasty surprise. There was a piece of paper taped to our street sign, and it said that effective today, our bus route was rezoned. And what it means now, we have to walk to school. Well, I'd like to have a talk to the genius who came up with that idea, because our street is almost a quarter of a mile from the school. Me and Rowley had to run to make it to school on time today. And what really stunk was that when our regular bus passed us by, it was full of kids from Worley Street, the neighborhood right next to ours. The Worley Street kids make monkey noises when they passed us, which was really annoying because that's exactly what we used to do when we passed them. They were like, "Ooh, ooh, ee, ee," and Rowley was panting. I'll tell you one reason it's a bad idea to make kids walk to school. These days, teachers give you so much homework that, with all the books and papers you have to carry home, your backpack ends up weighing like 100 pounds. And if you want to see what kind of an effect it has on kids over time, all you need to do is look at Roderick and some of his friends. Speaking of teenagers, Dad scored a pretty big victory today. The baddest teenager in our neighborhood is this kid named Lenwood Heth. And he's kind of like Dad's arch enemy. Dad has probably called the cops on Lenwood Heth about 50 times. Like when he came roller skating down the street, kicking our trash can over. He said, "Dag nab, you rotten teenagers." I guess Lenwood's parents got sick of his act because they sent him off to military academy. You'd think that would have made Dad pretty happy, but I don't think he'll be satisfied until every teenager on the planet gets sent off to juvenile hall or Alcatraz or something. And that includes Roderick. Yesterday, Mom and Dad gave Roderick some money to buy books so he could study for the SATs. But Roderick spent the money on a tattoo instead. I still got a little time before I turn into a teenager, but the minute I do, I guarantee you Dad will be looking for the first chance to ship me out. For the past week or so, Manny's been getting out of bed every night and coming downstairs. "Hi," he'll say. Instead of putting him right back to bed, Mom lets Manny sit with us and watch TV. It's not really fair, because when Manny is with us, I'm not allowed to watch any of the shows I like. And all I can say is, when I was a kid, there wasn't any of this getting out of bed stuff. I did it once or twice, but Dad put a stop to it real quick. There was this book Dad used to read to me every night called The Giving Tree. It was a really good book, but the back of it had a picture of the author, the guy named Shel Silverstein. But Shel Silverstein looks more like a burglar or a pirate than a guy who should be writing books for kids. Dad must have known the picture kind of freaked me out, because one night after I got out of bed, Dad said, "If you get out of bed again tonight, you'll probably run into Shel Silverstein in the hallway." That really did the trick. Ever since then, I still don't get out of bed every night, even if I really need to use the bathroom. I don't think Dad and Mom read Manny any Shel Silverstein books, which probably explains why he keeps getting up after they put him to bed. I heard some of the stories Mom and Dad read to Manny, and let me just say that the people who write these books really have a racket going. First of all, there are hardly any words in them, so I'm sure it only takes about 5 seconds to write one. Like this one Mom read to Manny one night called Silly Bear. Silly bear yawning, silly bear sad, silly bear sleeping, silly bear glad. The end. That's it. I told Mom what I thought of Manny's books, and she said that if they were easy to write, then I should try writing one myself. So that's exactly what I did. Trust me, it wasn't hard either. All you have to do is make up a character with a snappy name, and then make sure the character learns a lesson at the end of the book. Now all I need to do is mail this thing off to a publisher and wait for the money to start rolling in. This was the book I wrote. Wise Up, Mr. Shropsharp, by Greg Heffley. Once upon a time, there was this man named Mr. Shropsharp who thought all these crazy thoughts. I don't know much, but I do know one thing. Polar bears are some useless animals. One day, Mr. Shropsharp took a ride in his car. Here I go. But then, oops, he fell off the bridge. And then, Mr. Shropsharp, you would have drowned, but luckily, DOAWK here was sitting on an iceberg, and he saved your life. And so, before, I said that polar bears are some useless animals, but now I can see that not every polar bear is so useless after all. The end. See what I mean? The only thing I noticed after I finished the book is that I forgot to make it rhyme. But the publisher is going to have to pay me extra if they want that. Saturday. Well, after spending the last 2 weeks walking to school, I was really looking forward to kicking back and doing nothing for 2 days. The problem with watching TV on a Saturday is that the only thing that's on is bowling or golf. Plus, the sun comes through our sliding glass window and you can barely see the TV screen anyway. That's a spare, Dave. Today, I wanted to change the channel, but the remote was on the top of the coffee table. I was all comfortable and my bowl of cereal was in my lap, so I really didn't want to get up. I tried using the Force to make the remote levitate to me, even though I've tried it a million times before and it's never worked once. Today, I tried for about 15 minutes and concentrated really hard, but no luck. I just wish I'd known that Dad was standing right behind me the whole time. Dad told me I was going to have to go outside and get some exercise. I told Dad I exercise all the time, and this morning I just used the bench press he got me. But I should have come up with something more believable, since it was pretty obvious it wasn't true. There were clothes and stuff packed all over it. See, the reason Dad is on my case about exercise and all is that he's got his boss named Mr. Warren. And Mr. Warren has these 3 boys who are crazy sports fanatics. Dad sees the Warren kids outside their front lawn every day on his way home from work when his carpool goes by their house. They're playing lacrosse, playing football, and one's even doing push-ups. 48, 49, 50. So I think Dad is pretty disappointed every time he gets home and sees what his sons are up to. Roderick was melting Manny's car with a magnifying glass, and Manny was bawling. Anyway, like I said, Dad kicked me out of the house today. I can't really think of anything I wanted to do, but then I had a good idea. Yesterday at lunch, Albert Sandy was telling everyone about this guy in China or Thailand or someplace who he could jump 6 feet straight up in the air. No joke. The way the guy did it was by digging a hole that was 3 inches deep and then jumping in and out of it 100 times. The next day, the guy doubled the size of the hole, and he jumped in and out of that. By the 5th day, he was practically like a kangaroo. Some of the guys at my table told Alfred that he was full of baloney, but what he was saying made a lot of sense to me. Plus, I figured if I did what Albert said and then added a few days to the program, all my problems with bullies could be over. Like when bullies are chasing me down an alley and I can jump into a windowsill and say, "Looking for someone, fellows?" I got a shovel out of the garage and found a place in the front yard that looked like a good spot to dig. But before I could even get started, Mom came outside and asked me what I was up to. I told Mom I was just digging a hole. Excuse me. I dropped my phone. I told Mom I was just digging a hole, but of course she didn't like that idea, so she came up with about 20 reasons why I wasn't allowed to do it. Mom told me it was dangerous to dig in the yard because of underground electrical lines and sewage pipes and stuff. Then she made me promise up and down that I wouldn't dig any holes in our yard. So I promised. Mom went inside, but then she kept watching me out the window. I knew I was going to have to take my shovel and dig a hole somewhere else, so I headed up to Rowley's house. I haven't been going up to Rowley's much lately, mostly because of Fregley. Fregley's been spending a lot of time in the front yard, and sure enough, that's where he was today. I walked by and he said, "Does this scab smell funny to you?" My new strategy with Fregley is just to avoid eye contact and keep walking, and it seemed to do the trick today. When I got to Rowley's, I told him my idea, and how the two of us would practically be ninjas if we stuck the hole jumping program I planned out. But Rowley didn't seem too hot on the idea. He said his parents would get mad if he took a 10-foot hole in his front yard without asking, so he was going to have to get their permission first. Now, if there's one thing I know about Rowley's parents, it's that they never liked my ideas. I told Rowley we could just cover up the hole with a tarp or blanket or something, and put some leaves on top of it, and his folks would never even find out. That seemed to convince him. Okay, so I did admit that Rowley's parents might eventually find out, but that wouldn't be for at least 3 or 4 months. Like when Rowley's father is mowing the lawn, and he falls down the hole. Aye! Me and Rowley found a good spot in the front yard to start digging, but we ran into a problem right away. The ground was pretty much frozen solid. We couldn't even shovel it. I spent a few minutes trying before I handed the shovel over to Rowley. He couldn't really make any progress either, but I gave him an extra long turn so he could feel like he was contributing to the project. Rowley got a bit further than I did, but when it started to get dark out, he gave up. I guess we'll have to take another crack at this thing tomorrow.